Why Africa is the best place in the world to disconnect. As the years have passed, and especially as AI has come storming into our lives, it is as though there's no room for peace and quiet, let alone a whole week of disconnection. But stepping away, even as I did last week, when I drove an hour or so from my office into the Kruger National Park for a day trip, can reawaken something inside of you that you might have forgotten still exists. Just being out of my comfort zone and away from my laptop made me feel alive again. It gave me a boost I so desperately needed, and by the time I was home later in the afternoon, I had more energy and more inspiration. Being constantly connected to the web and to each other has its pros and its cons, but your mind needs a break, and sometimes the only way to truly relax is to pull the plug. While many of us try to unwind with Netflix or a virtual tour, some escapes cannot be automated. Sometimes you need to get out of your headspace and book a stay at one of the best digital detox destinations, most of which are in Africa. The real price we pay for our tech-driven working world. There is no doubt that tech has made leaps and bounds in making us all more productive. But if you are anything like me, you probably find it increasingly difficult to remember a time when you didn't walk around with your phone in your pocket, or when you weren't spending all day glued to your desk working on an Excel sheet or waiting on edge for the ding of a notification from Teams. We can complete tasks faster than ever before using AI and other systems. We can send 50 emails a day. We can attend meetings at a moment's notice with no need to drive anywhere. And as the years pass, the tools we have only make us more efficient at what we do. The downside is that while we are able to get so much more done, we are quite often doing so at our own expense. You know exactly what I am talking about. The modern working world is fast, it is busy, and no matter how much downtime you have, it is just not enough to actually feel fully rested. Technology has also made the boundary between work and rest almost impossible to find. What chronic digital use actually does to us is not something that comes on suddenly. It is a slow and cumulative process. Our cortisol stays high when we remain in a state of low-level alertness, waiting for the next message or update. Our sleep becomes lighter, and our attention spans narrow. Creative thinking, the kind that requires space, time, and a little daydreaming, gradually disappears. And we do not notice it happening because the stimulation itself masks our depletion, which is exactly why the cure cannot come from the same environment. It has to be something else entirely. Why Africa is the best place in the world to disconnect. There are wellness retreats in Bali, silent monasteries in old forests in Japan, and remote cabins in Scandinavia that are all marketed towards people who want to disconnect from tech. And while each has its own appeal, Africa will give you something none of them can quite replicate. A continent so expansive, so ecologically extraordinary, and so untouched in its wildest corners that the modern world does not exist in its current form here. Africa is home to some of the most remote wilderness areas on Earth, places where mobile signals do not reach and where the nearest city feels far away. In destinations such as the Okavango Delta, the Namib Desert, and the far reaches of Zambia's South Luangwa, the land itself creates the conditions needed for true rest. The air is cleaner, the darkness at night is deeper, and the silence, broken only by the sounds of wildlife moving through the bush or the call of birdsong, is the kind that settles into your bones and invites you to be at peace. No matter what happens in the world, Africa stays true to the old ways. Most of the time, the pace here is slower than anything the modern world has manufactured. And when you step into it, something in you remembers how to breathe deeply again. Africa's best digital detox destinations. Of all the spectacular places you can visit in Africa, if you are in search of a place that will allow you to recover from a lifetime of noise and distraction, this is where you should go. The Okavango Delta, Botswana. It is one of the most extraordinary places on Earth. The Okavango Delta, an inland river system that fans out across the Kalahari Desert, creating a private world of waterways, islands, and floodplains that supports a breathtaking density of wildlife. Accessible only by light aircraft or traditional Mokoro canoe, the Delta is well beyond the reach of roads, and while there are places where you'll have reception, for the most part, you'll be out of touch when you are out exploring. Mornings here begin with the sound of birdsong over still water, and evenings end beside a fire while hippos grunt and splash about somewhere in the reeds. The Okavango Delta is remote by nature, not by design, and that is what makes it the perfect place. The Kunene region, Namibia. In the far north of Namibia, where the desert rolls toward the Angolan border along the Kunene River, lies one of the most sparsely populated places on the planet and one of the best digital detox destinations. The light here is extraordinary. The silence is absolute, and the nights will give you a darkness so complete that you'll see the Milky Way in all her glory floating above you. This is the territory of the desert-adapted elephant in the ancient Himba community, a place where the land has changed very little over centuries and where modern life has no particular foothold. Although there are some exceptional luxury lodges in the area. South Luangwa, Zambia. Widely regarded as the birthplace of the walking safari, South Luangwa is one of Africa's last truly wild places and one of the world's best digital detox destinations. The national park sits along the Luangwa River, and its remote location has kept it quieter and less visited than many of its counterparts, which means your bush break will be undisturbed. Walking through it on foot with an expert guide, reading animal tracks in the dust, and stopping to listen to the sounds of the valley requires you to be fully in the present moment, which can reset your mind and help your attention span get back into focus. The Maasai Mara, Kenya. The Maasai Mara is perhaps Africa's most iconic destination, and for good reason. Its rolling grasslands stretch to the horizon in every direction, creating a sense of space that will be physically restorative after months or years of cramped and noisy city living. During the quieter months, outside of the Great Migration, the Mara will treat you to the solitude you've been missing in your life. The light at golden hour here is the kind that photographers travel across the world to find, and the evenings spent sitting out on a private camp deck with a glass of something cold, listening to the sounds of the plains settling into the night, are the kind that will continue to give you both energy and calmness you long after you are home. The Greater Kruger region, South Africa. For those who want the off-grid African experience without a long-haul flight, the private concessions bordering the Kruger National Park are just the place to go. Away from the main rest camps and public roads, these intimate luxury reserves only host a limited number of guests at a time, have no fences, and there is no noise aside from what the bush provides. The wildlife moves freely between parks and sometimes through camps. The guides know the land the way others know their own homes, and on an early morning game drive, with mist still sitting low over the riverine forest, you'll get to experience one of the most peaceful ways to begin a day. Your inbox can wait, but Africa cannot. If this article has stirred something in you, that longing for space, for stillness, and for a morning that begins slowly and quietly, rather than with a screen, perhaps it is time to listen to it. If you are drawn to the waterways of the Okavango, the ancient silence of Namibia's far north, or the intimate and personalized luxury of a private concession along the Greater Kruger, some of the best digital detox destinations are waiting for you. Let us help you find it. Explore our African holiday packages today.